All right, we got no time to waste today. We have to get right into it. A lot going on. Giants have won 2 of their last 3. They travel west to Denver, 4:05 Eastern time. We'll do what we do. We'll do locks of the week, fantasy play 'em if you got them, 3 predictions we see happening in the game. We'll get to your questions, your comments, what the Giants have to do offensively, defensively. We'll go through how you can follow the show, all of it. We'll get to all of it, but we're going to adjust what we normally do. Usually we have a guest about 15 minutes in. For about 15 minutes today. Time constraints because the Giants open the facility for the media to get into the locker room, talk with the players in about 15 minutes. We adjusted on the fly. We bring in my buddy, Jordan Raanan, right now, live from the Giants facility out there in East Rothenberg. Now, Jordan, it's nice to see you really dressed up for the big media avail today. We greatly appreciate that. How are you?
Does that look a little big right there?
I don't know what you're talking about. You know that no one is a bigger fan of you than I am.
I got to jump on a plane after this. I'm going straight to the airport, so you got to have something semi-comfortable, to get on that plane and get out there to Denver. I got to acclimate myself to the altitude. You know what I mean?
Do you really feel it though? Like, will you go and feel you don't feel anything? But players do, right? Like,
I mean, to be fair, we've only been there once. The Giants haven't been there since 2017. I don't know if you remember that game. That was actually, they went out there. They're supposed to have no chance. The wide receivers got injured, and they were supposed to get blown out, and they actually won. Orleans Darkwa had a big game.
Orleans Darkwa, number 43 in your program.
26 at that time, I think.
All right. I believe it's something more 43. But that's irrelevant.
At some point, yeah, he did. And then that was the year they actually, I think they went 3-13 that year. But that was one of the wins.
Right. The fond memories of Denver, the best. Well, I mean, the Broncos Super Bowl, obviously that was the best, but there was a game in '89. You might be familiar with this game. We got to get to the receivers and everything in just a moment. But Gary Reasons, you know this game, crushed. I forget what it was, Sammy Winder or Bobby Humphrey, the running back. But 3rd down, 4th down, he tried to go over the top. Giants stopped him in a snowstorm. Dave Meggett had a big play in that game.
Yeah.
One of my fondest memories of the Giants.
Yeah, I remember one also. Wasn't there a Monday nighter against the Broncos?
Monday, no, not that I recall. Oh, I mean, September 10th of 20.
That's what I was thinking of. It wasn't a Monday nighter. It was the day before. September 11th. Yeah,
it was a Monday nighter. It was a Monday nighter.
It was a Monday nighter the day before, and then people couldn't get back. People couldn't get back. A lot of people.
Correct. I remember Ed McCaffrey shattered his leg during that game.
That's exactly what I remember in the end zone.
I don't remember being in the end zone, but that's conversation.
No?
I don't think so, but that doesn't matter. So let's get to it. This is the big topic. I walk into the guys like, so what's going on with the wide receivers? I said, let's get Jordan on because Jordan is the expert in this stuff. Now, before you even give your opinion, as far as you know, where are we with the Giants acquiring a wide receiver? Because, I mean, the tea leaves are there, right? They restructured contracts. The rumblings are that they're interested in one of these guys, and it's Olave, it's Myers, it's Calvin Ridley, it's Jalen Waddle. Like, those are the guys. Where are we as far as the Giants acquiring a receiver is concerned?
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're seriously interested in all those guys. Like, they are looking for a receiver, a significant receiver. That's what it sounds like. You talk to people around the league, that's what they believe. Jalen Waddle is the guy that the organization likes. I've heard that from people. If you think back, remember they almost took him. It was the whatever draft that was. The Giants ended up. They ended up with Kadarius Toney in that draft, right?
Because that worked out nicely, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted Jalen Waddle or Devonta Smith in that draft. So there are, and that was Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman in charge. Now they're obviously not still here, but there are still definitely people in the building who were part of that process. So I'm sure. They've always been fans of Jalen Waddle. He's a good player. We know what he is. The problem is the Miami Dolphins don't necessarily, at least from what I heard, want to get rid of Jalen Waddle. Like, that's not their desire. So in order to get Jalen Waddle, you are going to have to give him a really nice deal, something that convinces them otherwise, unless everyone else gets blown out in Miami and the situation there changes. So at the moment, it seems unrealistic to me that Jalen Waddle would end up being a New York Giant.
Yeah, because they're not a football team, right? So why? I mean, even if they blow out their regime, right? Even if Mike McDaniel's gone and they're looking, I mean, because it looks like Tyreek Hill is going to be gone as well. I'm sure he's not going to be back with them next year. So why You got to give the next coach and the next GM something, right? You leave the cupboard completely barren here.
And he's young. He's signed. He's a guy that makes sense for them to keep, right? He's on a reasonable contract. Like you would want to keep a guy like Jaylen Waddle. So I would be very surprised. You would have to pay a lot. And in my opinion, and we talked about this on your morning show, I don't see the Giants as being in a situation where, hey, you have to go all out and overpay and pay a hefty price for a wide receiver right now, just so, in a year when your quarterback's learning on the fly and he's going to go through his ups and downs, that you need to force that kind of move right now. So to me, that's not the move that kind of makes sense for them. If you tell me a little, and this is ultimately where I think it's going to head, is they'll get like a second tier type of guy and to help out in the meantime. Now, if they go in Denver, Dave, and win, it kind of changes the situation. Now it's like, okay, now we could, worry about trying to win some games now and competing moving forward. That makes more sense to me. But 2-4 still extremely tough schedule. That and you have a rookie quarterback who, quite frankly, just to be fair and honest, he's going to have his ups and downs at some point. Like that's just natural.
Of course. Listen, he started 3 games. He was really good against the Chargers. He was not very good against the Saints, and he was really good against the Eagles. So you've already seen the ups and downs. Now, you talk about wanting to make this deal or not wanting to make this deal, and then, well, if you beat the Broncos, maybe you'd be more prone to push the chips to the middle of the table. I'm not as anti-making a deal for a Waddle as you seem to be, because I think he's a big player. And then I look at the future. If you had Neighbors and Waddle and Dart, I mean, all of a sudden it starts to look like an offense, which is scary. But I will say this. You say, if you win this game, maybe you'd be more prone to make that trade. Jordan, I don't care until this team winds up getting like 7, 8, 9 wins. This is not a playoff team. And not because they're not a decent team. I think they're a decent team. The schedule is the most unforgiving schedule I've ever seen. Like, play this game with me. Even if they beat Denver, now you're on the road in Philly. Even if you won both of them and you're 4-4, now you're San Francisco, Green Bay, Detroit. I said this today on the morning. They're just not because they're not decent, because I think they're decent. They're not one of the top 5 worst teams in the NFL. I think they've gotten past that, but they are not going to the postseason.
I agree, but if you are 3-4, you're not going to pretend like, hey, we're not going to at least try and win some more games. Like then, then you kind of have to go get a wide receiver. If you're sitting there at 3-4 or 4-4, you kind of have to go get a wide receiver and say, hey, we got to help out this team for this year and the future. So it serves an extra purpose to me. That's my point on that.
Okay, I just think that if I could, so the thing that becomes a little bit slippery as well is the regime, right? Like, is Joe Shane and Brian Dable bringing in a guy to win games now to save their jobs, right? If there was a regime that you looked at and you said they're safe, you have no worries, no questions, they're safe, they're going to be back, then you kind of trust that they think it's going to help in the future. But these guys might have the impetus to, let's make a move that, sure, it'll help in the future as well, but if it helps now, then it might save our job. So I don't know. It kind of doesn't add up to me of the regime making a deal and mortgaging the future when they don't know that they're going to necessarily be back moving forward.
Yeah, and look, I don't begrudge anybody. Like, that has to be a thought in your mind, at least to some degree. You can't say it doesn't play any factor whatsoever. I just don't believe that. Like, there's human nature to it. It's just like that's how people operate. You have to think about that if you're them to some degree. But let me just make this clear, Dave. I'm not against getting a player like Jaylen Waddle. I would love to get Jaylen Waddle the player. I just think the assets and the resources that it's going to take to get him is significant. And that's not a move that's indicative of a team that's in the situation that this team is in right now. Like, if you tell me the Philadelphia Eagles let's say they needed a wide receiver and they were trying to win a Super Bowl, and
that's a finishing piece, right?
Yeah, a finishing piece. And you give up a hefty price for that. Yeah, then that makes more sense to me. They're not in a position where they need to go overpay for a wide receiver. Right? They have Malik Neighbors, talking about for the future, because that's what we're building towards here. You have Malik Neighbors. Yes, you need another wide receiver. You're going to need more weapons, but you also need draft picks. If you're giving up 1 or 2 of your draft picks, you already don't have a 3rd round pick. Like, you need draft picks, A, to add more quality young players, to B, fill out the roster. You can't just sign all guys off the street. You can't pay, $2 million for every guy on the team. Eventually that adds up, and that's just a bad way for me to roster build in general. So now I'm not against Jaylen Waddle as a player or having him on the team. Love to have him on my team if I were, as a number 2 receiver. Like, that's an ideal spot. But what's the cost?
Right. And that's what it boils down to with every one of these guys. Now, I would think like a guy like Jacoby Myers. If you want to bring in a guy, because he's a free agent at the end of the year, he wants to get paid. You want to do a trial run. And if you go out there and you and Dart have this special chemistry and we've given up a 6th-round pick for you, right? Because Raiders can't expect to get a lot for an expiring contract. So if you bring someone like that in and there's a special connection with Dart, and you say, you know what, we know he's going to be good in this system. Like, is that something you're more inclined to do? Or are you just absolutely unequivocally, I don't want to make a trade for a receiver?
Yeah, I mean, no doubt. Look, I'm turning my phone so that we're actually even here. I don't know if you saw that.
I could.
Yeah, there we go.
If it helps.
Like a normal human being. Pat Leonard actually just texted me and told me to do it as we're sitting here on the phone.
Pat Leonard's great. He's a great man.
So he's obviously watching. So he's keeping an eye on us.
He's one of our. Jordan, we're moving in on 1,700 subscribers to this.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. See, we're growing to the moon, the moon and back.
That's right.
So where were we? Remind me where we were.
I was asking you about Jacoby Myers and not giving.
Oh yeah. If the price is that low, and you tell me it's a 6th-round pick, sure. I'm a little hesitant to not want to have a guy who at least has another year of control, though, because then the possibility exists. Let's say Jacoby Myers doesn't like living in New York.
Right.
You just gave away a draft pick for what? 10 games? 8 games?
All right, but I mean,
is that the situation? Is that a move that this team should be? And Jacoby Myers, the problem with him is that he wants to get paid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he wants big money because the Raiders they couldn't come to a reasonable deal with him. I don't know. So that worries me. You give me a guy like that with another year of control, at least it makes me feel a lot better about it. But I get your point.
All right, so you know my radio show, right? We did the segment Cuddle, Marry, Trash. I'm going to give you 3 guys right now. Not who you want. I want you to give me your marrying most likely to acquire, your trashing least likely to acquire. All right? Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Jacoby Myers. Cuddle, Marry, Trash, most to least likely to acquire here.
I'm going to trash Jacoby Myers just because he's not under contract next year. That would be a strictly this year move.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure the Giants want to do that. I think they have hesitation towards that. I'm going to cuddle Jalen Waddle because I know that they like him. But I'm not going to marry him because I have doubts that the Dolphins want to get rid of him, right? And so, therefore, I don't think that move actually will happen. And then I will marry the third option, which is Chris Olave, which when I was down in New Orleans, I heard he could be available. So, and that the Saints might be willing to move on from him. They don't feel like he's a true number 1. He's probably more like a number 2. But here, that's perfect, Dave.
Yeah.
So that makes the most sense to me.
Okay.
On a contractual basis, on a return in regards to how much it's going to cost, and then also from a fit like that makes a lot of sense to me. So I'm going to marry Chris Olave.
Okay, I think that's probably nice. Now, and
what would be your order of that? Of desire to acquire.
Desire. Now, so you're changing the question on me.
Yeah, because you don't necessarily know what's most likely and not, right? I mean, if you do, I'd love to hear you.
I mean, listen, the most desirable is going to be Jalen Waddle, but the problem with Jalen Waddle is he's also going to be the most expensive.
Well, that's the factor for you.
You have to give up. To me, I would go Waddle, marry, just desired to acquire. I would go Waddle, marry. I would go Olave, cuddle. I would go Jacoby Myers, trash. Now, I think one of the things you have to factor in is that Chris Olave has a real concussion history. So if you're going to give up real draft equity for a guy that comes in almost as damaged goods, that would also be something that got me concerned.
Jalen Waddle also has an injury history, to be fair.
A big injury history.
Pretty extensive, yeah.
He's a slight guy, and he's always hurt.
Yeah, that's also part of it that I don't love. We're talking about fit-wise now. The Giants, if you're in a perfect world, need like a big physical receiver, right? As the other guy, they have Darius Slayton, for better or worse, under contract. Not a physical player. Malik Neighbors, not the biggest guy in the world. Obviously, can do everything. Wan'Dale Robinson, right now, very small, slot type receiver. They could use a bigger, more physical receiver.
Oh, absolutely. When you have to go, by the way, and the Giants open up the locker room to you to get in there and start talking to the guys, just do it like you did when you joined us during the golf exhibition you put on that one time a couple weeks ago, because that was really special. That was,
I look what I get for trying to do you a favor.
What do you mean?
Look, I mean, I tried to do you a favor. It wasn't like the other way around, like you were doing me a favor. No,
I
I
do
was doing
understand
you a
what I've done
favor.
for you.
And all and all
Can you tell my guy? So you know what I do? This is the kind of a human being I am. What do I walk in with to the studios today? A huge box of cookies for the guys. You should have seen their eyes. They lit up. What do I do for you? I lead like no one. People are like Jordan Raanan. The name sounds familiar. Who is that guy? Now you're co-hosting DPH on Rothenberg for weeks on end during the summer. I am buoying you to greatness, my friend.
I like how you take full credit for it. I will definitely give you some of the credit. You are my biggest endorser and backer for
No
sure.
one loves
But
you
in
more.
this instance, I told you you needed help at the last second. I told you what I was going to be doing and playing. I was in a
I
simulated
didn't
round of golf.
realize you'd have no signal. All right, we don't need to waste
I
time
didn't
with that.
either. I
We
neither. But
don't
you
need to
keep
waste
you keep leaving little jabs, and I was the one doing the favor.
Have you met me? This is what I do. I'm like Muhammad Ali. I jab and move, and I'm
I
out.
mean, I'm not going to take it sitting down without any fight back.
That's fair. The Yankees hat looks great on you, by the way. They had a terrific end to the season. All right, so quickly here, a couple more things. The Broncos. Yeah, that's what I do. It's the Broncos defense is really. I mean, I think far and away the best defense that Jackson Dart. I mean, Chargers were good going in. He did well there. This is on the road, mile high. You really have no weapons. Like the deck seems kind of stacked against the Giants. What do you anticipate? Is this the week that Jackson Dart comes back to life? Because if he goes out there and plays well, I mean, that would be pretty wild.
Yeah, look, I think there might be a little bit of a reality check. The only thing that I hang my hat on and I say, you know what? Maybe the Broncos lay a dud here, that this is sort of a trap game for them because they've just spent all their time, right, in Philadelphia, and then they went to London, haven't been home for 2 weeks. Maybe you get them in a little bit of a spot here where you could take advantage. But that defense, 30 sacks in 6 games, Dave, that's 10 more than any other team in the NFL. So I think he's going to be under constant pressure. Andrew Thomas is great. Giants offensive line still not great as a whole. It might be the only hope is that I think the Giants defense could dominate too here. This isn't an explosive, great Broncos offense, but tough game, no doubt. Means a lot for them down in Denver because they're honoring Demaryius Thomas too. I've heard a lot about that down there. That's like a big deal down there. I don't think we really fully understand how big a deal that is down there. They're honoring the Super Bowl team, everything down there. So it's it'll be like a big show, a big game for them down in Denver. This is a tough game. If the Giants win this game, I'm gonna leave you with this because I gotta go in the locker room.
Yep.
If the Giants win this game, I mean, the train is going to be so far, down the road. Like this is going to reach levels of excitement and optimism and enthusiasm that we haven't seen since probably the Super Bowl. Dave.
All right, go.
That's where we're going to be at.
You go do your thing. Talk to the players. Tell them I send my love, especially Jackson and Cam and the better players, obviously, that I kind of resonate to. Have a safe trip. I'll talk to you, buddy.
All right, anytime, man. Bye.
That is the great, and I use that term very seriously, the great Jordan Raanan from ESPN. So we'll get back to the game a little bit. We'll look at what the Giants have to do. Interesting that Jordan says the Giants defense could dominate this game. And I know that the Broncos offense is not elite, but it's good. I mean, Courtland Sutton is really good, and Mims is good, and Franklin's good, and Dobbins has kind of resurrected that career, and Bo Nix, so I think he's taken that little step back this year. But overall, I mean, that's a good football team. Like, there's a reason the Broncos are 7.5-point favorites over the Giants coming into this game. All right, so we'll get back to this game specifically. We're adjusting on the fly, right? We don't usually have the guests so early on. In just a moment, we will get to the locks of the week. But again, I want to let you know all your comments, your questions on Twitter, and then today's comment Friday. So we're going to have comments a little bit later during the show from you guys on Twitter. And if you want them read on air, there's the feature called the Super Chat, which will cut you to the front of the line, and we'll answer those questions immediately and respectfully. And that, of course, helps support the channel as well. And then how do you follow the channel you'd like to know? Well, on Instagram, on TikTok, at DR Giants Obsession, on Twitter, at DRNYGO, on Spotify, Dave Rothenberg's Giants Obsession. And at last check, we are really on our way towards 2,000, and then the sky is the limit, 1,681 subscribers. So we are making some nice noise still in the first half of the season. All right, let's go to our locks of the week. Now, locks of the week. And this is how fickle, guys, this can be. Locks, it's not so easy. I took San Francisco. I got to look back in my group chat with you guys because I don't remember taking San Francisco in these picks. And if I did, then I did. I didn't mean to. I actually meant to take Atlanta. And these guys are such unbelievable professionals that they'll be able to adjust that. We'll come back to it in a couple of moments. But let me give you the first two picks. I like Atlanta plus the 1.5, not San Francisco minus the number. But we will get to that in just a moment. So, you see this spread originally. And by the way, we're 7-11 on the season. It's underwhelming. But if you go through the games, we've had 3 games. There was the worst loss gambling-wise I might have ever seen this year. Arizona and Tennessee. And Arizona led by like 10 points with 4 minutes to go. And there was no chance they weren't going to cover the number of this game. They intercepted Cam Ward. The guy gets up, fumbles it into the end zone, touchdown, and then they gagged even more after that. So that was the worst. I wasn't involved in that, but we had the Rams and the Eagles here. Rams getting points. They go for a game-winning field goal, but the spread was already done, blocked for a touchdown. We had Broncos and Colts, 60-yard field goal attempt from the Colts. There's a 15-yard penalty on the Broncos, puts them into 45-yard range, hits it on the next try. Like, we've had some really special losses. So, yes, 7. Nice job, guys. 7-11 is not impressive, but the worm turns today. All right. Now, I want to get into the Lions and the Bucs game to start. Now, Lions and Buccaneers, and you see the number, and it's jarring because the Bucs are 5-1, and Mayfield's played at a very high level. And you say, it doesn't make sense. How are the Lions given 5.5? It doesn't make any sense. I'll tell you how. A, the Bucs are really banged up. B, the Lions are home. The Lions are going to put up 34 points. They're going to score a lot of points in this game. Do I see Baker Mayfield and company being able to match them score for score? Remember, Abuka's out. Evans is supposed to play, but he's recovering from a hamstring strain, which is, shut him down since week 3. So I understand that at first glance, you look at that number, you're like 5.5 is just, I don't want to give that much. It's just too much. I get it, but I think it's worthwhile. And I'm going to take the Lions and lay the 5.5. Now, moving along here, Chargers are minus 1.5 at home against the Colts. I mean, maybe I'm poisoned with Daniel Jones because I watched him on the Giants for so long, and he did some good things and he did lots of bad things. And last season he was awful, and then they got rid of him, and he has resurrected his career, and I give him credit for that. A good job by him. I'm not sold yet. I mean, you got fortunate to beat the Broncos. You beat the Cardinals last week. You beat the Titans. Like, I wouldn't exactly say that their schedule so far this season has exactly been murderer's row. So that being said, this is now, you're stepping up in class, right? This is a legitimate big boy game. And I'm trying to pull up the Colts schedule so I can read it off to you. I mean, stop me when I get to the win that you look at it like, that's a massive win. That's a big win. So they beat Miami opening week, which looks like a good win because they killed them. But Miami's not a good football team at all, and they have 1 win on the season. That's over the Jets. I don't even know that counts for a full win. Sorry, Steve. Denver, lucky, right? You would agree. They'd probably agree. They got lucky to win that game. So that's 2-0. At Tennessee, is that an impressive win? I'd say probably not. They lost to the Rams, which was one of those litmus test games. And they were in that game. And that was the game that A.D. Mitchell took the ball and threw it away at the half-yard line going in for a touchdown. They beat up on the Raiders, which you tell me, does that impress you? I think the Raiders stink. And they narrowly beat the Cardinals with a backup quarterback. So I think this is a step up in class. I think it's a step up in class both on the field and via the coaching. I'll take the Chargers and I'll lay the 1.5. And listen, I love Kyle Shanahan. I think he's a great coach. I think that this is a really good football team in San Francisco, but they suffer more injuries than any team I've ever seen. So let's look at where we are, right? They're on their backup quarterback. Their top wide receiver, Ricky Pearsall, is out yet again, it sounds like. Jawan Jennings has broken ribs. He may not play. So Kendrick Bourne is good, right? I think he is good. George Kittle's supposed to play. Fred Warner, who is probably the best front seven player in the NFL, broke his, I guess his knee, his ankle or his knee, I forget, and dislocated as well. He's going to miss the remainder of the season. And I like what Atlanta's doing. I mean, Bijan is a certified weapon. Michael Penix is playing well. Their defense is a far cry from what it was last season. So I like the Falcons plus the 1.5. So again, to recap quickly, it's the Lions minus the 5.5, the Chargers minus the 1.5, and the Falcons plus the 1.5. And you can get involved a little bit. Put your toe into the water and get involved in 1 or 2 or even 3 of those games if you would like. All right. So Nico and Steve, let me bring you guys on and see what we're doing with the questions and the comments. By the way, I hate to toot my own horn, but how delicious and delightful were those cookies?
Oh my God! You could see the open box right here. I just had one.
You had one? Did you really?
Yeah.
You told me you were going to eat it live on the air.
I'll eat another one live.
Go get another one. Pick out whatever tickles your fancy. Bring it back, and let me see that beautiful face eat a cookie live on the air. What have you had, Nico?
I've had the little, I don't know what they're called, but they're kind of like the wafers, like sticks.
Almost like the cigarette cookies, right?
Yeah, they're like wafer sticks with chocolate.
Look at that.
Wow.
Look at what I bring in for these guys.
Lovely Dave. Lovely Dave.
Yeah. So I want to see you eat one of these. Come on.
I like the jelly ones.
You can. First of all, nobody likes the jelly. The jelly.
I like the jelly.
Like a redheaded stepchild of cookies. But that's fine. If that's what you like, then go ahead. Let me see you consume a beautiful jelly-filled cookie. That's not jelly, is it?
There's jelly on the inside.
Right.
Yeah.
That's nice. Is it delicious?
Mm-hmm.
Looks it. All right. So Nico, since his mount is literally full at the moment, do we have any questions or
comments? We do. We have a bunch of questions from the Fanatic tier. Shout out Bobby Bugs 82.
Yeah.
Not saying they shouldn't try to go to the playoffs, but I'm not counting on it. I just want to see this team continue to improve. He also mentions looking more for O-line help.
Yeah, I don't know that they're going to go after O-line help because I think Jackson Dart has really changed kind of the narrative with the O-line. He just his ability to move makes the O-line considerably better. That being said, this is not about the postseason. If you are, and I don't mean you, Nico, like if you're watching this right now, and we welcome you and we appreciate you watching live here on a Friday. We'll be back on Sunday after the game and Monday at 1 Eastern and Wednesday at 1 Eastern, and the cycle goes on and on and on. This season, and I don't want you to become prisoner of the moment, guys, is not about this year wins and losses. It's about do you have the quarterback? That's it. That's really the biggest answer. Do you have the quarterback? And if the answer is yes, if you get to the end of the year and you can say definitively, I have no doubt this team has the quarterback, you've won. You've already won, right? So if it comes with 6 wins, okay, 8 wins, unbelievable, 4 wins. The problem is the coach and the GM could be sacrificial damage, right? Like side damage if that's what happens. But it's not about getting to the postseason. They're not going to the playoffs, guys. They're not going to the playoffs. I just want you to understand that. And Jordan says, well, if they win in Denver and they go to 3 and 4, let me bring it up.
Never say never, Dave.
I'll never say never. They were not going to win the Super Bowl in 2007, and they did. So I'm never going to sit here and tell you these things will never happen. But realistically, these things are not happening. So I'm bringing up the rest of the Giants' schedule. All right. So they're 2 and 4 right now. It's at Denver, which they're expected to lose. It's at Philly. Do you know what the number on the at Philly game is right now? The look ahead number, guys? Any idea? Great content when you guys say nothing.
I don't know.
The
6
Giants
and a half.
Are getting 10.5.
10.5 is crazy.
They got 7.5.
10 coming off a win, coming off beating them, getting 10.5 is crazy.
10.5. Then they host the Niners. Then they go to the Bears. Then they host the Packers. Then they go to the Lions. Then they go to the Patriots. Then they host the Commanders. Then they host the Vikings. Then they go to, very winnable game, the Raiders. And then they host the Cowboys. Guys, this is as brutal a schedule as you could possibly put together. So, I mean, I will love it. I'll come on 7:30 in that range, Sunday night, Eastern time. I will be, if the Giants win, ecstatic over the win. But I will not for a second sit here and tell you that will lead to anything as far as playoffs are concerned.
Even if, say if give or take a couple of circumstances happen, number 1 in the NFC East?
No. How in the world? I mean, Nico, I just ran through the schedule with you.
It's the hardest schedule in the league.
Stop me. I mean, this is cruel. This is like a war crime, the schedule. They should not be allowed to put schedules like this together. And that's on top of you've already played Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, the Chargers, The Saints was easy and you lost that game, and the Eagles. I mean, you have 2 wins right now, right? I want you at the moment to give me ultra optimistic Nico. I'm say your last
full
name, but I don't even
delusion.
know what it is. So give me you ready? Ultra optimistic Nico. You
Yeah.
ready? At Denver,
Win.
3 wins. At Philly,
Loss.
3-5. Home to San Francisco,
Win.
4-5. At the Bears,
Win.
5-5. Home to the Packers,
Loss.
5-6. Now this is optimistic. You're still below 500.
Yep.
At Detroit,
Loss.
5-7. At New England,
Win.
6-7. Home to Washington,
Win.
7-7. Home to Minnesota,
Win.
8-7. At the Raiders,
Win.
9-7. Home to the Cowboys.
Loss.
So even in the most ultimate optimistic
We've
scenario,
seen a team with 9 wins go to the playoffs.
You still don't think they're going to be a playoff team.
9-8 can 9-8 can
Nine-
go to the playoffs. I'm full with
nine-
this
But it's
team.
not about that.
With this team and Jackson Dart behind center, I anything's possible.
But it's not about that, and that's what you're missing.
I'm ready to get my heart broken.
It's not. But it shouldn't. This team should not break your heart. It should only be a one-way street. It should only be positivity. All right. Do we have any more questions,
Yeah.
comments? Because we do need to move on and do other stuff.
Julio Gomez says Calvin Ridley I'd rather get on the cheap.
Do me a favor, guys. I don't have it in front of me. I could probably look it up, but it'd be easier for you guys to do it. You say on the cheap. Look up Calvin Ridley's contract and tell me about how on the cheap you might get him for a 4th-round pick. Look at how much money he's owed. I think he's in the midst of a 4-year, $92 million contract. You're not getting Calvin Ridley anywhere near the cheap. He's a high-paid wide receiver. See,
He's
people
4
just
year,
don't
92.
get it, and that's what's so frustrating to me. Oh, we'll just get this guy on the cheap. The cheap. You might not give up a lot of draft capital, but bringing in Calvin Ridley for the next couple of years means that there's other guys you cannot afford. And he makes a ton. Did you find out how much money
Yes,
Calvin
yeah,
Ridley is
yeah.
making?
4 years, 92. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and there you go. I mean, that's why I am. 4 years, 92. All right. What else do we have? Other questions, comments?
Yeah. We have 2 in conjunction together. Brendan G, our giveaway winner, Giants legend Evan Butterfingers Ingram is also on the Broncos, and I am Jarrell says watch Ingram have a career day.
Well, I'm going to leave this there, and we will get to Evan Ingram later because I do have something to say about Evan Ingram. And anything else, or we move ahead with the Giants on offense on Sunday?
We have one more,
Okay.
John. To all you New Yorkers and New York fans, thank you for your passion. I live in Virginia, and because of Dave and DNR, I now love watching and listening to commentary about New York sports. Well done, and thanks.
Thank you, John J.J. Roll. By the way, Nico.
Yeah,
can we
brutal
get you into
reading.
some kind of a reading class or
Brutal
something?
reading.
I mean, has this always been an issue? Or is this something where you have stage fright?
It's because I'm doing it fast.
Well, why don't you slow down a little bit?
I
Slow
should.
down,
I
dude.
should slow down. a
We're,
little bit.
we're in no rush.
Yeah.
If we chose to go till 5 o'clock Eastern today, I mean, I wouldn't choose to, but we could. Like, we're in no rush.
You're gonna be in your 3rd dream by 5 o'clock.
No, but I mean, we're in no rush. So why do you read it like your pants are on fire?
I'm
every
sorry.
time?
I will try to be better for you.
You know what? It's constructive criticism, is what it is. Just take a breath.
Thank you.
Like if you had a hard out at 1:33, I'd be like, come on, get through it quickly. But we don't have anything like that. All right, good job by you guys. So Giants offensively against this defense. Now, this is a tall order. The Broncos defense is excellent. They have the best cover corner in the NFL in Patrick Surtain. And it's funny because we were joking around on my morning show, and I've talked to people off the air. Who do you even put him on? I guess you put him on Wan'Dale Robinson because he's the Giants' biggest threat. But I almost feel like Surtain's going to show up to the game on Sunday and be like, all right, what do you need from me? Like, he's not going up against, an elite wide receiving core. It's not like, all right, even last week. Now, if they had Neighbors, that'd be a hell of a matchup. It'd be a delicious matchup, right? Neighbors against Surtain. But even last week, he's going up against Garrett Wilson. Now, I know the Jets' offense is not great, but Garrett Wilson, he could probably lick his chops and say, all right, I can make a name for myself by shutting down maybe the best receiver in the AFC. The Giants, the receiving corps, it's terrifying. I mean, it's Wan'Dale Robinson. It's Jalen Hyatt. It's Darius Slayton's not even playing in this game. It's little Jordan Humphrey. So, it's Daniel Bellinger, and it's Theo Johnson. And it's Gunnar Olszewski. That's what the Giants have to offer at the receiving core. So they have Surtain. And again, they have 30 sacks on the year. 30 sacks on the year. And I believe, and we read this stat on the air yesterday, they have like 28 more sacks since the start of last season, 2024 season. So stay with me here now, right? In fact, I have this on my phone. I'm going to look this up and I'm going to give it to you guys verbatim. Okay, so here we go. The Broncos, since the start of 2024, right? So last year's 17 games and this year's 6 games, since the start of 2024, have 28 more sacks than any other team in the NFL. So think about that for a second. Of the 32 teams, they have 93. The next closest is Seattle at 65. That is a massive gap. And the gap between Denver and Seattle. Now, I'm going to read it slowly. And Nico, you can pick up on this, and this will be good for you. I'm going to read it slowly so people can digest it. The gap between Denver and Seattle, remember Seattle's 2, is as big as the gap between Seattle and 32, which is 65 to 37. And that team is Carolina. So they get after the quarterback. And Nick Bonito is a force. Allen is a force. They hit the quarterback. They got to Justin Fields 9 times last week. And I know that Justin Fields is the guy that can't unload the football, but this to me may be the key of the game. Because I don't think the Broncos offensively are particularly great. The key to me is, can the Giants not even score points, win the field position battle, and not turn the football over, right? I mean, the one road game that Jackson Dart started so far in his 3 games, the Achilles heel in that game was they turned the football over 5 times. And not only did they turn it over 5 times, 5 consecutive possessions. So you can't do that, because now you go up in class against a way better football team and a way better defense, and you're on the road. So, if you start at the 20, and you might look at it and be like, that's not a big deal. You start at the 20 and you get up to midfield and you get stopped and you punt it and you pin them at their 9. Well, that stuff matters in a game like this. This is not going to be like the Cowboys and the Packers that ends 40-40. This is going to be a field position, don't turn the football over kind of a game. And can the Giants put up some points? I don't think that they're going to score more than 20. I mean, that's a lot of points against this Denver defense. So if you can put up 20 points, your defense plays well, you play the field position game, do you have a puncher's chance, a real chance to win that game? Yeah, I think you might. But you're walking into a very difficult situation if you're the Giants. All right, let's go to the fantasy football aspect of things. Now, you get the obvious guys, right? We do this every week, but I don't want it to be like, oh, Dave told us to start Jalen Hurts this week. What a genius he is. Like, anybody can give you that information. What I like to do is try to give you the below the radar nuanced information. Caleb Williams has a great matchup. Puts up numbers now, right? I mean, I know DJ Moore is banged up, but Rome Odunze is legitimate, and he likes to throw to DeAndre Swift, and he's going to pick up 30 to 50 rushing yards. So and it's the Saints defense, which is not great. I really like Caleb Williams in this game. Drake May is another one. And I know Tennessee's defense is not awful, but I think we're at the point where Drake May is now startable just about every single week, guys. I mean, you saw what he did in Buffalo. You saw what he did last week. He's got Tennessee this week. He's found a chemistry with all these guys. I mean, Douglas and Booty and Stephon Diggs, especially that game in Buffalo. He was sensational. So he does, and Hunter Henry, like, there are real weapons on this Patriots offense. And, I think you have to start, and I know it's only week 6 heading into week 7. I think you have to start to at least explore the possibility that New England might win this AFC East, which I thought was maybe crazy. But I think is something you have to start to really think about. I know we have guys with fantasy questions. We'll get to those in just a couple moments. Let me just kind of run through this. So hang on with your question. Justin Fields, Justin Fields last week sacked 9 times. It was awful. But Denver's defense is elite, and Carolina's is the opposite of elite. And if the Jets are going to win this game, Justin Fields is going to have to do some stuff. I mean, Carolina's going to score points. Carolina's going to score 24 points probably. So if you're the Jets, you want to win this game, you got to score 28, 27. How do they do that? He's got to run for 60 yards. That's a touchdown. Go for at least a touchdown, if not more. Like, if they're going to compete in this game, Justin Fields is going to have to give you, I don't know, 18 to 22 fantasy points. So I think he's a really good start. Not every week, in this specific week. All right, running backs. Kamani Vidal is the guy. It was uncertain. Is it going to be Haskins? Is it going to be Vidal? It's Vidal. He's good. Hampton's out. He's the guy. You can play him and feel pretty safe and pretty confident about getting him into your lineup. Breece Hall's another one. I mean, they're not going to have Garrett Wilson this week, right? So he's not going to be able to play. Where did the Jets go? The fact that Breece Hall, who was one of the better receiving running backs in the NFL, had no catches last week with a quarterback who's like a check down Charlie is mind-boggling to me. So you have to figure out a way to get Breece Hall into the mix. He has to catch the football 4 times. And he should be able to run it effectively as well, guys. He really should. This Carolina defense, I know they're pretty good against the run, but there's no reason I can't get 60-plus yards rushing and 4 catches for 35 yards. So think about that, right? 60 yards rushing, 4 catches, 10, 35 yards, 13 and a half. If he somehow gets into the end zone and gives you 18, 19 points, that's a big-time week from Breece Hall, who's not a top-tier running back. And Rachaad White is typically not, but with the injury, he is. He really. He is. He's a terrific running back when he is the guy. So I think you can start him and feel very, very confident about starting him. Let's move along to wide receivers. Devontae Adams, you say, well, Adams every week, Rams, decent matchup. You have no Nakua. So he becomes the guy that has to be the alpha and the guy. So they'll be fine with Adams. I think you can play him and feel highly confident about that. Deebo Samuel. Now, I want you to monitor this. McLaurin's out again, so you don't have to worry about him. Deebo's banged up. Make sure he's playing, obviously. If Deebo plays against that Cowboys defense, I mean, it's going to be a massive win to get him into your lineup. And then Chris Olave, who we talked about earlier, the Bears' secondary is hardly great. Spencer Rattler has shown that he's capable and competent. And, yeah, I like Chris Olave getting into the mix this week as well. And then lastly, we go to the tight ends. Harold Fannin. I mean, Dolphins' defense is not good. Fannin is good. He really is. They drafted well there in Cleveland. So I look for him to have a decent game. Dallas Goedert, and the last time you saw the Eagles, he was putting up a massive game against the Giants. You know, there's a real disconnect and a real issue with A.J. Brown right now. Jalen Hurts looks at Dallas Goedert, in my eyes, as kind of his security blanket. So I think he goes to him often. I could see like a 5 for 55 and maybe a touchdown, kind of a stat line from Dallas Goedert. And then Michael Mayer. Again, you monitor this. If Brock Bowers, and it sounds like he's not going to be able to play, if he doesn't go, Mayer's the guy. And Mayer put up a good game last week. And if you're not going to see anything from Bowers and he can't play, now I know it's Kansas City, but still, I mean, Kansas City goes up big, and then the Raiders get some garbage time stuff. That's who it probably will go to. So there you have it, the little fantasy insight that we provide each and every single week, and whether it's who you should pick up and get into your lineup or who you should play if you have on your roster, we try to provide the best help that we possibly can. All right, so now David Carlson wants to know, fantasy question, Dowdle or Scadaboo this week? I like both, but I don't know how you couldn't play Dowdle. I mean, Dowdle has become a must-start every single week. Now, I like Scadaboo, don't get me wrong. If it was Scadaboo or, a lesser player, Dowdle, how about this? I got a nugget for you guys. Dowdle has more scrimmage yards week 5 and 6. So you take weeks 5 and 6, yards from scrimmage, so rushing and receiving yards on its own. And in those 2 weeks, he has more total yardage on the year than Saquon Barkley. All right, this guy is proving to be a stud. He's good in the passing game. He's good in the running game. So you have to play him. I mean, it's not even like I take him over Scadaboo. I think I would take him over almost everybody. You have to have Dowdle in your lineup. That's a definite. All right, guys, I want to bring you back in here. Today's a Friday, so we do the questions off of Twitter and the comments off of Twitter. Do you have some good stuff that people have thrown your way during the course of the week?
Yes, we want to promote this too. If you guys are a fan and you guys follow us on Twitter, please leave us comments throughout the week on all of our posts so that we can add you in. Right now, we only have one person to add.
Do you feel like that's sad a little bit?
A little sad.
A little sad. Well, before you do that, can I give some love here to my buddy Louis Marcone? Lewis is new and a YouTube subscriber, and he's very heavily involved in the Dave Rothenberg's Giants obsession, and we'd like to give him a little bit of love there. So thank you to Lewis.
Yeah,
So
thank you, Lewis.
what's the question that you have here?
So we have one question here coming in from Brian Mann. Broncos.
That's not really a question. No, you know what?
It's
Did you even take an English class?
It is the only comment that was left on our post today.
I don't have a problem with you throwing that up there. But you said we have one question from Brian Mann.
Statement.
What defines a question for you?
Not that, obviously.
So let me see if I have this now. We'll get to Brian's statement in a moment. You've shown that you have like the reading ability of a child.
Yeah.
And you're unsure what a question as opposed to a statement actually is, right?
Obviously.
Do you think maybe we should hand this role over to Steve? Steve, is this something you feel like it would be better suited in your hands?
Steve wants to take over the questions.
Steve, do you think you want to take over the questions?
Be a little more entertaining, inspiring, but also reading it pretty well.
Capable. Right? I feel like before let's walk before he can run. I mean, he can't read, and he doesn't understand the difference between a statement and a question. Anyhow, Broncos by 21. Listen, I don't know. You're trying to get under my skin. You're not going to get under my skin. The Broncos are a very good football team. They could be. I don't think they will because I don't think they put up that many points. But they could beat the Giants. They could be absolutely. They could be the Giants this week. So yeah, I expect Denver to win this football game. This is a very tough task the Giants are getting involved with this week. All right, so let's look at the Giants defense, and then we have to get into what everyone's thinking and some points to ponder, and then predictions, and then we look at the wide receivers a little bit more, and then we say goodbye and we get ready for the big show. The Sundays are the big shows. Like I love the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but at least you have time to sit here and breathe and relax. The Sundays are especially after wins. Oh, they're beautiful. They're special. All right, so defensively, and we had Jordan on a little bit ago, and I think he's right with this. Maybe this could be the Giants coming out game. Right, maybe we'll get to Jay Jan in a second. Maybe this could be the Giants' kind of breakout game defensively. Because if you remember, we watched them last week against the Jets, and Matt Pert, who was a former Giant guard, was brutal. He's out for the year. So now you're on to a third-string guard. I mean, the Giants' strength is that defensive front. Maybe this is the game that the Giants defense actually really raises the level of their play and gives Denver a really, really hard time and, makes this one of those. Because I don't know if you guys feel like this. I don't need 40-40, 37-34. That's not football to me. Football to me is more like, hey, field position. Like maybe it's old man, get off my lawn kind of stuff. Going for it on your own 32-yard line, like just constant fake punts. Like I like football when you're fighting for field position and pinning a team at the 2-yard line means something. Maybe this is one of those kind of throwback games where if you have a good defense and special teams and can run the football more effectively than the opposition and not turn it over, it's going to really buoy you to get a win. I don't know if you feel like that. I know the NFL will do anything in their power just to get points on the board. I don't always need a 34-point game. I don't need the Lions every single week. And I like the Lions. I think they're fun to watch. But this third and or fourth and 1 at your own 39 with 8 minutes to go in the second quarter and you're going for it. It just, I don't know. The way football is kind of, the evolution of it, I don't love all of that, but we don't need to spend a lot of time. My point is, I don't think the Giants need to do a lot offensively because I do believe this will be the best version of their defense that you have seen. And if that's the case, and I don't think it's going to be a lot of points that have to be scored, if that is the case, then I think you'll be in pretty good shape if you're the Giants. And again, I think we can come on here Sunday. I'm not just going to freak out or be thrilled or anything based on wins and losses. I'm really not. I'm looking for progression. I'm looking for the quarterback. I'm looking to see what the offensive line does against an elite defensive front. I want to see Abdul Carter continue to get better and make plays. This is not Giants win and you're happy, Giants lose and you're miserable. At least it's not for me. Like I can see baby steps along the way where if the Giants do things well and still lose, that doesn't necessarily mean it's catastrophic. It means there's going to be growing pains and you're not there yet and you shouldn't be there yet. But hopefully next year and the year after, you start to slowly build something and get there. All right, so I wrote down my predictions. I don't want to get to them now. But you know what? Bring up the comment from Jay Jan, please. if you will, because I know it was via the super chat, so I wanted to get to that. It says, lifelong fan here. Love the content. Thank you, JJN. New York wins 39-20. Now, I'm going to ask you guys this. Leave the comment up, please. Put the comment back up. All right. Read what he said. Nico, Steve, read what he said. And why do you think he said what he said? Do you have any? I'm going to, like, if this is like some kind of like a murder mystery, there's a clue right in there. Steve, Nico, do you have any idea why he said any of the things that he put in there? No? Not even to the point where you guys can pop on screen and I can.
We're thinking.
We're trying to discuss.
But I want to see you. I want to hear the discussion take place. So let's read it again. Jay Jan, lifelong fan here. He loves the content. New York wins 39.
Score.
Huh?
Had to be a previous score.
Super Bowl.
Shut up, dude. I see you.
You see me doing what?
I see you looking in the chat. I'll give you the answer.
I'm not looking at the chat.
He's such a cheater.
It's sad but I now have a computer in front of me.
But I'm not looking at the chat.
Giants beat the Broncos, Super Bowl 21. Nico, what was the score?
39-20.
39-20. Nico, what was the score at halftime? You have any idea? Giants trailed at halftime.
20-0.
No.
Oh.
Giants trailed at halftime 10-9. Rich Carless, barefoot field goal kicker, missed a inside 30 yards last play of the first half. Giants were able to get out of that, come out of the second half, house on fire. So Giants played them twice in 1986. They beat them at Giant Stadium. George Martin had there was a screen pass. Elway tried to run a screen, I think, to Sammy Winder. Martin picked it off, ran it back the distance. Giants win that game at Giant Stadium and then faced them later on in the Super Bowl, where, again, they trailed 10-9 at the half, and just the second half was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. They win 39-20. Bavaro had the touchdown. Zeke Mowatt, I believe, had a touchdown. Phil McConkey had the touchdown. McConkey had the big play on the flea flicker that they ran down the left side to get down to like the 3-yard line. That game was almost 30 years ago, and I remember that game like it was almost 40 years ago. And I remember that game like it was yesterday. I mean, I remember every little nuance of that football game. So 39-20 was the final score. All right, so now let's get to my predictions. So throw up my predictions, and we'll run through these quickly, not to waste everybody's time too much. Then we'll let you get on your way in just a couple of moments. My 3 predictions. You score 20, you're winning this football game. I really do believe that. Giants score 23 points, it's theirs. Giants get to 20 points, it's theirs. Broncos get to 20. It's not going to be high scoring. It's not going to be Dallas and Washington where the over-under is like 54.5. You get to 20, you're going to win. I think, and again, nobody knows for sure. The Broncos offense line is good, but like I mentioned, the right guard spot, they do have holes. They're down to their 3rd string right guard. I'm hopeful, and maybe it's more hopeful than believe it, but I do believe it. They're going to get 4+ sacks in this game. I think Carter has a big game. I think Burns has a big game, and he continues to do that. And we had people throw this out earlier about Evan Ingram. I couldn't agree with you more. Evan Ingram, first of all, the Giants don't defend the tight end to begin with. Jake Ferguson lit them up. Dallas Goedert lit them up. I don't remember the last time the Giants defended the tight ends well to begin with. So I think that continues. And to make matters worse is there was nobody better, and I mean this sincerely, nobody better at dropping big passes in the biggest of moments than Evan Ingram. He will have a big game. 5+ catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown. Like, I could see a 7 for 81 and a touchdown because he was a Giant. He was not a very good Giant. Since he's left the Giants, he's become a much better version of himself. All right. So quickly, before we say goodbye and let you start your weekend and then get ready for Sunday, of which will be on around 7:30 in that range. But we'll get to social media and get the message out of how exactly we're gonna get to you after the game and what time. We've discussed it a lot with Jordan earlier. I know there's this dynamic of you got to go get the receiver. I think you need to be very careful here. You can't mortgage so much that you're willing to, rob Peter to pay Paul. So you're going to have I imagine a top 10 first-round pick, which means you're going to have a top 40 pick overall in the second round. You're going to be able to add talent that way. Now, if a receiver presents itself and it's you can't say no, okay. But let's look at some of the guys that we discussed during the course of the show. Chris Olave. Now, remember, he's got a concussion issue. I think he's had 4 or 5 concussions already in his career. He's a really good player. He really is. 6.5 catches a game, which is a big number, although not for a lot of yardage, right? Only 57 yards per game. But he's good. He's good. And if they were to add him, I don't think it's the end of the world. And if you don't have to give up a ton to get him, I think that makes it even more attractive. What is that? What is this? Make sure you. Okay. So Jalen Waddle. That's the crown jewel. But to get a guy like Jalen Waddle, you're going to have to give up a lot. And we talked about it on my radio show this morning. I mean, I'm talking about a second and a fifth. So do you want to trade a second and a fifth for a guy? And I think he'd be great. Like, could you imagine Jackson Dart behind an upgraded offensive line with Malik Neighbors on one side and Jalen Waddle on the other side? I mean, the idea is delicious to think about, but I think that's a lot to give up. And now you're going to pay him. And the benefit of drafting a receiver in the first round or the second round, whenever you get him, is you don't really pay him all that much. And for an extended period of time, you don't really pay him that much. Waddle, you got to pay. And Jacoby Myers, who I think is by far the least of the 3 exciting, but he's going to cost you the least as well. But he's going to want to get paid. I think he's in the midst of $11 million a year. He's going to want $18, $20 million a year. Are you paying Jacoby Myers that kind of money? So it'll be interesting to see. I think they will wind up with a receiver. I just want to make sure they do it in a very smart, cautious manner would be what I would suggest. We have any comments, questions before we bid adieu to everyone today? We do. David Carlson, everybody's watching Dart to see his improvements. However, what aspects of the team are you watching to judge whether Dable should be back or not? See, I think it's kind of difficult to separate Dable from Dart right now. The better you get Jackson Dart, the better the Giants are going to look, and the better Dable's going to look. So, I mean, the truth is, and I don't know how you would do this, the truth is, if the worse Jackson Dart looks and the less games the Giants win, the more likely it's going to be that Brian Dable is out. So if that's your tact, if you're, sitting down right now watching this saying, I hate Dable, I don't want him here next season or beyond, he's got to be gone. You need the best interest for that to happen is that the Giants don't win football games and Dart doesn't look very good, because you're right. Like Russell Wilson had a moment where he's good. He didn't look very good. The team doesn't look like it's very good. They weren't able to get the ball in Neighbors' hands for the most part outside of that Cowboys game. Right? All the things you would look at, it's not like the 2-minute offense is great. They don't really have a defined game plan. It feels like Jackson Dart has kind of saved the Giants. So if not for Jackson Dart, that Brian Dable would certainly be on the way out. That being said, if Dart continues to play well and gets better and they're good, how can you really move on from Brian Dable? Anything else? You guys have some questions? You do another one. Brandon G. I have to start Scatterbo this week in fantasy because Bucky is still out and Chuba is back and will split. He's not going to split with Rico. Rico's going to get the bulk of the carries. How do you think Scatterbo does this week against Denver's Diva? I think he'll be fine. I think Scatterbo's going to get a lot of touches. He probably won't run for a tremendous amount of yardage, but he's going to get 18 carries for 62 yards. And if you get down to the 2-yard line, he's going to get in. So, and he'll probably catch a couple passes as well. Scatterbo is fine. Like Rico Dattle's the guy you'd have to play over him, but Scatterbo is totally fine. Anything else, guys, or is that? More. John J.J. Roth, who just so eloquently said how much he appreciates the show. The Broncos' offense is so flat, it's starting to look like a Justin Fields highlight reel. All potential, no payoff. Can the Giants' D-line keep it that way? Yeah, I think they can. I don't necessarily think they do, but I absolutely think they can. You saw the Jets defense overwhelm Denver offensively last week, right? I mean, the Jets defense has been bad this year. I think the Giants defense has been better. The Giants secondary needs to play well. Evan Ingram is a concern. Cortland Sutton's a concern. Mims is a concern. Franklin's a concern. They have guys. So if the Giants front four can get pressure on Knicks, I think the Giants have a real chance to win that game. I think that will be one of my X factors as well. All right. Anything else? Or we're going to say goodbye and get ready for the show on Sunday. Steve, Nico, anything?
Yeah, we're good.
We're good. All right. It's amazing. Like voices just float in as if from a ghost. All right. So again, guys, follow us on our socials, Instagram, TikTok, at DR Giants Obsession, Twitter, DRNYGO, Spotify, Dave Rothenberg's Giants Obsession, YouTube. Like us, subscribe to us. We're approaching 1,700. The number we can get to is limitless. The more likes, follows, all that we get, the more content we will create. Remember, we'll be back Sunday. Giants, Broncos, 4:05 Eastern Time. Game ends 7:10. We're on with you in your living room at 7:30. Hopefully, it's after a Giants victory. Have a great weekend up until we come at you on Sunday night. This has been Dave Rothenberg's Giants Obsession. So if you like that live stream, check out this video or the other live streams. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.